So we set up the appointment on the email, and I was sure she would not wait for me. It was too surreal to be true. And there she was waiting after this long run, and she took me 2 hours more. And there's no hotel in Moisesville, there's just the widow.
The what?
The widow.
The widow.
The widow entertains the guests. That's what I was told. I imagined a certain kind of widow while I was on this long journey. Kind of a Zorba the Greek widow. And then I knocked on the door of it. The street was, funny enough, the name of the street in Moisesville, which is a Jewish town in the middle of the Pampas, is Estado Israel, which is the country of Israel, number 32. And I knocked on the door, and the door was opened by Paula, which was a 94 years old widow. And she let me in her house, and she showed me my room, the room of her son, which is in another place, in another town. And immediately after I put my bags, she asked me if I'm hungry, and I said yes. And then she made knishes for me. Do you know what is knishes? Yeah, I didn't know what is knishes. It's a kind of a wrapped with a potato inside of it. And when I was eating the knishes, I thought to myself it was worth coming to here, because this is the kind of things you would never get by Google. You would never get the knishes by Google, and you would never get, for instance, after all these arrangements I've made to the research and all this long journey and expensive journey, I got to Moisesville. I never thought of the problem I would be facing, which is I only speak Hebrew and English in a sufficient level, and the people in Moisesville speak only Spanish and Yiddish. So actually, I had no one to talk to. After all these preparations, so in my very mediocre Spanish, I explained Paula the problem, and she had this, the telephones that you used to have, this kind of, that you do with your finger, to call, and she made them a couple of phone calls, and they found one lady in this town. It's 4,000 people live in Moisesville. About a third of them are Jews, or synagogues and a lot of Jewish elements. But there was only one lady in this town who speaks Hebrew. But she didn't really speak Hebrew. She just learned Hebrew at school, and she was speaking the most funniest Hebrew I ever heard. It's untranslatable. Yesterday in Zürich, we had Anna Birkenau with us, and she talked about how difficult it was to translate this biblical Hebrew to a biblical German. But this is how she spoke to me. Now we did a tour together, and I pretended to be interested in what she was telling me about the synagogues, but actually I was trying to write as much as I can from her magnificent Hebrew, and this was the way that the character Cecilia Aharona was made, just because of this meeting with Eva Batsheva, I think was her original name. There are things that you cannot write without really being there. When I went to Bolivia, I told it before we were dining. There's a place in Bolivia called Isla del Sol in Lake Titicaca, and it's a very high place. And I went to Bolivia straight from Buenos Aires. And they warned me it's not good to go from 0 meter to 4,000 meter, but I wasn't listening. I was Israeli arrogant, thinking I can deal with it. And the minute I got to La Paz, I couldn't breathe. And when I got to Isla del Sol, you're supposed to climb 300 stairs to get from the bay to the hotel. I was not able to climb the stairs. I had no air. And while I was suffers. It's a real height disease is a real disease. And while I was suffering, I was thinking to myself, this is very good to the book, because now I know how Dori would feel when he would come here. Now I can write a description of a height disease after experiencing it myself. So I didn't want to go to this research journey. It was really problematic with my family. I have 3 daughters. It's a long journey, but actually I see the effect in the book. You can't. I think you can't write without really being close in a way, smelling the place.
A new book is going to be published in Israel. A new book written by you in a few months?
No,
a few weeks.
I'm afraid to say weeks.
Weeks. What's the title? What's it about?
The title is untranslatable, really untranslatable. So I won't say it. We'll wait for the German translation. Generally, I really hesitate about speaking about books who haven't been published.
But it's not a book in process. It's
it's finished. What I can say, it's totally different than my former books.
Certainly, it is. Yeah.
I think it's more funny and more sexy.
We're waiting.
And I'll finish with that. Yeah.
We're waiting. I suppose in 1.5 years. In 1.5 years, DTV will bring this book as well. We'll see you again here, I'm sure, let's say in 2 years.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being here, for coming to Austria. Ihnen vielen Dank, dass Sie gekommen sind. Und falls Sie diese ganz besondere Passage von Cecilia Aharonah in dieser ganz besonderen Sprache, in einer tollen Übersetzung von der Übersetzerin Anne Birkenhauer lesen wollen, in dem Buch Seite 518 lesen Sie, wie eine Frau im Gespräch ein Grammatikbuch biblisches Hebräisch spricht und wie großartig das übersetzt worden ist ins Deutsche. Eine ganz tolle Übersetzung, ein wunderbares Buch. Will you understand? Wunderbares Buch.
Ja, wunderbar.
Ja, okay.
Danke.
Ja, vielen Dank und weiterhin spannende Lesung, eine spannende Lesung hier heute Abend mit Asaf Gavron, der ein Buch über Siedler geschrieben hat. Danke sehr. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ganz schönen Dank für eine wunderbare Lesung.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.